Hey guys, in 2024, we're doing something a little bit different. We want to hear from you on what movie we need to talk about.
Yep. If you guys like movies like us, we're definitely interested in hearing what type of movies or what movies specifically you want to listen to us. And if you want to give us some suggestions, there's the Beacons link available in the description, which then you have Discord, you have YouTube, comments, whatever you want to do, DM us. Just let us know what you want us to talk about, and we're happy to share that with you.
And of course, you can't forget to like, subscribe, give us 5 stars, name your children after us, or whatever it is that you want to do. But make sure you do it so that more people can find us.
Definitely, please support us because we need all the support, and you guys can definitely help us keep going in 2024. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. Today we're here to talk about Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. And as always, I have here with me Ramon.
Hey guys.
And Raul.
Howdy.
Such low energy.
Such low energy, Raul. Bring that testosterone up.
It's pain.
Well, this episode was requested by the three of us because we really love this show and we really wanted to talk about it. And if you guys want to go back and hear our specific reviews of each episode of the first 7 episodes, you can go back and that's in our catalog. But we really felt like we needed to talk about Season 2 to have that completeness to it. But I'm excited, man. I'm freaking excited. Ramon, if you want to tell us, how did you feel about Season 2 now that you've finished it and watched it in sub and dub?
Wait, it was only 7 episodes that we did before? I don't know, man. But, when we were recording episode by episode, I loved it. And it becomes exhausting to kind of have these, episode dedicated to each one of the episodes. But especially now when we took a little time off and then we got to, watch week by week. And like you said, then go back and rewatch it one more time and now watch it in dub. It's, still reassured that Jujutsu Kaisen is probably one of the better anime that's out right now because it's freaking great. I think the impact of watching it week by week was really exciting because we were having this discussion. We were having the discussion with a few of our listeners too. How each week it was just getting better. Each week was better than the last week, and then it just kept on getting better. And we were like, how is this even possible? And then when you go back and you rewatch the whole thing and you binge it, it's beautiful. So overall, how I felt about the series, it was great. I think ultimately, seeing the second half of this second part of the season, just reassured me that this is one of my favorite because of the fights, everything about it. But I think just in general, the overall scheme of what Geto's doing is that he basically wants to rule the world and release all the curses. I don't know. I just really like where it's at, and I can't wait for the next season just because this one was so huge. That's not even mentioning the hidden inventory part of it in the beginning because that was great too.
No, man, same like you, man. I can't wait to talk about it. I'm kind of surprised that by the end of the second season, all the bad guys from season 1, they're all gone. Every single one of them, except for Geto. But Geto, even in season 1, was kind of more in the background, not really doing anything, more scheming. And here we kind of know why he was just scheming. but yeah, it's really exciting to go forward with this anime and not really know what's gonna happen. I like to read anime manga so that I don't get spoiled in the future with people. But this one, I refuse to read it, man, because it brings me so much joy to watch an episode, not know what's gonna happen, and every episode sort of surprises me, or my expectations go a different way of what I thought was gonna happen. So I really love Jujutsu Kaisen for that reason. So I'm gonna try my hardest not to read the manga and just continue to wait till the next season 3. Which probably won't happen. I actually think it's gonna happen in 2024 or something. I think I saw a trailer for it, right? They released some kind of an announcement.
Yeah. Teaser, yeah.
In the sweatshops in the animation studios. Yeah, and I agree with you. This anime has definitely is so good, and it definitely got better with this season, even with the hidden inventory, and then with the Shibuya incident. But it just, in a way, I kind of dreaded watching each episode.
No kidding. I don't know. I mean, still one of my favorite things again, not talking about future things to come, but in general, in this season, what I was waiting for is the disappearance of Gojo. So I was really happy that I got this in this season. I didn't, you remember, I've always been not anti-Gojo, but the whole idea, and I do it for a reason, right? It fits into the whole story that he's so godlike that at one point, if he's there, it's just not a fair fight. And I think that's why I enjoyed this season so much, because he wasn't there obviously the hidden inventory, but that was more of a flashback. And then besides a couple like really amazing subway scenes that we had with him after he was gone, like I feel like every fight to me, like everything that was going on, just seemed more significant because there wasn't the immediate salvation or Gojo coming into the rescue or anything like that. And I don't know, but yeah, so as you start hearing like some spoilers, you're right, then you're like, fuck. Like I also didn't want that either. Like so it is a very mixed bag with that.
No, I think what I really liked about Hidden Inventory is that the fact that they put Gojo in his place. Like Toji, my man. I'm kind of like stressed a little bit because I wanted to mimic, his appearance, even though I'll never look nothing like him or resemble him in any way. But man, talk about a guy that's probably in real life like a piece of crap husband, piece of crap father, probably a nasty human being at all. But man, do people wanna F him, man? People see that man and
not
they're
just
like, yeah.
him, dude. Like I swear, in this anime, more people want to do anime characters in this anime more than any anime that I've heard of.
And they're not even being provocative; they're just
but I'm saying like Toji just means something about like, hey, this is a man with no powers, no abilities, and we saw him put Gojo in his place, and then later on in the second part of it, we saw him put one of the disaster, Dagon. We saw him put him in his place, and it's just like, man, what can this man? I don't know why he didn't just take over the world, man. This man seemed like he could have accomplished anything. And again, like told you, it's just one of those characters that I was really happy to get in season 2.
This season had so many like really cool and some like there's also some moments that I wish we could have gotten more or either more built up to or could have been like prolonged a little bit longer and given us a little bit more of it. But I don't know. I can't really complain about anything because the big thing that I do like is that in this anime, people are gonna be gone. I have so much empathy for my own good.
No. I'm actually like, Itadori again. Kind of one of the reasons why you follow him kind of was put on display in this season because it's just like sometimes you do wonder when there's so many amazing characters, like why are we following Itadori? But I don't know, man. I feel like with the way the show is going, like Itadori might truly at the end of the day be our bad guy, just because of the fact that he is the vessel to Sakun. What is it?
Sukuna.
Sukuna. Yeah, he is the vessel to Sukuna.
I feel like I always mispronounce it too.
Yeah, and I feel like at the end of the day, like even with the end of season 2, you kind of feel like maybe the show could all of a sudden in season 3, like this guy will be the main protagonist, and then maybe we won't even see Itadori that much. I don't know where season 3 is gonna go.
Yeah, I know you were always asking because we always knew that Yuta was gonna come back, and obviously Yuta was in the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, and he was like the protagonist, and the story followed him and Rika, and that he was a good character. I don't like his like emotionless like demeanor, but it's still like I still really like his relationship with Rika, like his curse spirit. But at the same time, like I don't know, like I have this relationship with Itadori that it's like. I get like that he's not the most he's like he doesn't have a curse technique that like stands out because it's flashy, like freaking with Megumi and his freaking like shadows and everything. Like this season was really like there was a big portion of it that was all about him and how amazing he is and how versatile he is. And like I think other than that, like I think Itadori, like when you see him fight, I think a lot of it was just being hyped up and in a good way. Like, I think a lot of it was being demonstrated by the conversations that we're having. Like, Megumi kept on saying, like, he was barely able to keep up, right? Like, anybody that Itadori was fighting was like, oh, man, this kid, like, he's just so, like, crazy powerful. And he's so, like, like, amazing and all this stuff. So I feel like I think the progression of seeing Itadori become more powerful and more powerful, and you don't see it physically because, again, all he's doing is, like, curse technique, like punches and like the freaking black flash, and that's it. But at the same time, like clearly his adversaries and clearly his teammates all like know that he's really strong and that he's getting stronger. And I think his story is definitely more about like Raul was saying, like the loss and pain that he's kind of having to deal with, because again, he went from seeing him on like the first couple episodes of this like series to begin with, from him being like, oh, I don't want to kill anybody, I'm gonna like live up to my grandpa's words and just want to be a person that people want to cheer for and want to like be there to support, to like now he's having to finally kill people, and even if it is in a curse form, he doesn't love it. And I think that's more the relationship that I like about Itadori. So to me, he's always going to be the great guy for that reason, because I know at least the conflict to him is big and significant. But also, I think the whole idea of being possessed by someone else is really cool too. Because you're like people are conflicted, right? Like, shit, get rid of him, but don't.
No, I mean, as much as I'm gonna talk positive about some characters, there are some characters that I'm just gonna be like, dude, this idea, like they were disappointing. Like, I really think Fushiguro was kind of disappointing this season, just because of the fact that he did something so dumb, and we'll talk about summoning that one creature. And the reason why he did it, I was just like, dude, why would you do it? And because of you, technically, you're the reason why all these people died. Not really Itadori's fault. It was more like your fault because you clearly didn't think this could happen. But to me, I just felt like Itadori's classmates were kind of like disappointing this season.
I mean, I don't think with Megumi, but I think with Megumi it was a little different. But I do see what you mean with that. Wasn't he so anxious to bring out that curse before, like that the armored sword? I forget his name, but like I think he said before. He almost did it like 2 other times where he was fighting someone and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna resort to this," even knowing that he was gonna die, and he was still like did it anyways.
Well, that's what I mean. He's always so willing to just like this is it for me. Like this is it. This is it. I'm gonna do it. I'm done. And it's just like, dude, stop being so suicidal. He's
the emo kid. He's the best guy.
But let's agree that he did it for that one weakling guy, the one with the miracles in his eyes. Yeah. I'm like, dude, come on, of all people, you couldn't like take him on. Like
he didn't know. He was stronger than him, or so he thought.
No, I felt like obviously he was weak from fighting Toji, but I'm like, dude, you could have done something, or somebody could have came to your rescue. You have some kind of rabbits or frogs to like help you out. I'm like, there's no way you should have summoned this massive destruction evil, but I don't know.
Well, dude, he fought the water guy, the crab guy.
He didn't fight him. He just kind of held his domain in place.
Dagon.
Dagon.
That's more of a squid. I'm like crab. I'm like, what are you talking about?
His name is not Dagon. Dragon, but without the R, Dagon.
Yeah, not a crab person, more of a squid person, octopus person.
Zoidberg.
I give you Zoidberg with no claws.
This is why we don't do anime episodes and we don't drink while we record because we just get so defensive.
It's just us arguing about just like what Dagon is. It's a fucking squid.
Okay. He was there. He used a bunch of curse energy to go into his imminent domain, or what's it called? Not imminent domain.
His domain.
Infinite.
Whatever that's called. His domain expansion.
Well, I think, bro, you have a point. I mean, I guess since we already talked about the first half of this season, like kind of where we left off in the last few episodes that we recorded, it started with like what fight? I think the second half of the season that we hadn't discussed on our podcast so far was basically a lot of fights. So I get how you're
talking about the grasshopper again.
No, we're not going to fucking talk about any of that stuff. No, hell no.
That grasshopper almost made me want to like quit podcasting.
I wanted to mention some of those things earlier about the beginning of the season, but no, absolutely no. But because there's just so much content in the second half of the season that we hadn't addressed. But I see your confusion with there was so many fights, because even me too, going back and rewatching it, I'm like, who fought who? Like who literally fought who? And it was like, you had even Mei with that one like freaking like I don't think he was a special grade, but somehow he was supposed to be like stopping her, and Geto was there at the end being like, well, once you beat him, then you can fight me. And it was all his smallpox like curse that he had. Like that was a great fight. Like I really like that curse that Geto sent.
Yeah.
You guys remember? Yeah. Because and it wasn't until watching it in dub that I realized that freaking little dude is her brother. I thought it was a cousin. Like we thought it was. I remember I was thinking it was something else. Dude is her brother.
I thought it was just like an assistant or butler or
it's
whatever little juniors.
And the dub, he's always like sister.
Oh, that's so much weirder.
It is so much weirder.
It's weird.
Even though, to be honest, watching it in dub like gave it a little bit of a different reference, because at least the scene when they're later on in the bed, it's not as sexual and weird in the beginning, because the conversation sounds more like nothing's happened yet. It's more like, oh, like you're gonna spend the night with me, right? And then he gets all nervous, and then she gets a phone call, and he's just like so like blue balled, and it's just like, okay, it's still really weird, but at the same time, like at least now I have a little bit more understanding about the relationship, and it's not any better.
Which honestly, that was another complaint with Mei and Wee Wee when they did appear in the hotel room together. I'm like, wait, what happened? How did he get there? And I guess what happened was just that they just chicken out. They didn't fight Geto. Like they're just kind of like, you know what? We did our fight with this domain curse that he did that domain thing, and then after that they just got out of there. So it's just kind of like, okay, the show could have done a little bit better at showing that, because the way he left it off, it was like, all right, now we're gonna fight.
They teleported or something. Yeah.
Well, they were gonna fight Gato, like that's where he left off, and then next thing you know, they're like in the hotel. So it's just like, I guess they managed to just chicken out. So my take from it was that I feel like Gato maybe paid off Maymate or even back away. I feel like they talked about like, hey, it wasn't just Mikamaru that was helping the curses. It was also somebody higher up, and I feel like maybe Maymate was the higher up because maybe they could have given her money. I feel like Mei will do anything for money. So I feel like Mei is going to be that character that's like, you're going to find out that she's the one that helped them out because they paid her off. So I don't know. I just feel like that. Because even Mikamaru says that it's like, oh, I can trust you because you're not the one helping them. But in reality, I think she was the one helping them. I don't know.
No, yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense because clearly they want to portray her as like being very, like you said, money driven, because their whole conversation about that is like whoever she was on the phone with, which then, there's still someone else who's like really trying to take care of her, was about like what else they can do for each other in the future. So just like, especially seeing the very last episode and seeing like kind of what Gyato's plan is going to do to Japan and the world. It's crazy that she's kind of on the insider side being protected by someone else, and all she wants to do is to stay away from the fighting. But I don't know, like, I mean, that is one of the first like fights from that second half of the season. Like, I mean, I just like, I really enjoy that because the creativity, that fight, remember, again, we got reintroduced to the whole idea that like her crows being her like special abilities, and just having her her kamikaze crows, and the way that she defeated the curse. Like, oh man, I just remember watching that and then rewatching it again. And I'm like, dude, that's just so creative, so cool. And then also at the same time, like, Raul, when you were talking about the loss of life in this season, it was the same thing too. Even the crows were a good example of that, because every crow that she has essentially is just gone. And I'm just like, damn, like these people are ruthless. Like whether you're a bad guy or a good guy, apparently sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
No, and what I liked about her too was she was kind of like said, like, technically I was born weak because, technically all I can do is like control crows, and that's considered weak. But just the fact that she trained and she became powerful and she has like this physique ability where we saw that she would get put in this coffin, then put underground, and she would immediately break out from it. And honestly, to do that, you are needed to have a lot of strength to be able to break out from something like that. She knew that if that happened to Wee Wee, he would just pass away like immediately. So she's like, I have to defeat this cursed demon before that boulder is able to hit Wee Wee, because he will die from that. So it's like, tells you how strong Mei truly is. And again, I kind of wish we would have gotten more. I wish we would have gotten that fight with her and Gato, even if at the end of the day it just resulted with her walking away. Like, I'm like, man, I want more of this girl, even though I technically hate her.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's a fun one to watch.
Yeah, obvious reasons.
Well, I know.
No, but she's a very interesting character because she's a good guy, but like she has these problematic characteristics that kind of make you question things about her, like whether she's really going to do the right thing or not, and then kind of like it also kind of makes you wonder how strong she really is, because she's never going to push herself to the end because it's not worth whatever money they're paying her for whatever.
Yeah.
So she's definitely an interesting character overall.
Yeah.
Something that no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to keep going with some of the other like really good parts.
No, I was just going to say something I just, it took me second season to realize, but I guess domain expansions aren't something that just anybody can do. Like, actually, most of our characters that we follow, like Nanami, like he could never do a domain expansion. So this kind of that was kind of interesting to me. This idea that you have to be really powerful or have some kind of really great ability to even be able to summon a domain expansion. So that's interesting, man, because that kind of also adds another level. Like, oh man, I guess we're just not going to see a domain expansion from some of these people that we follow because they just don't have it in them.
Yeah, because I think we only saw special grades do domain expansions, because I don't think we even saw like any A grade sorcerers do domain expansions. Just special grade sorcerers and special grade curses.
No, we got a lot of the domain expansions that we've seen in the past, like nothing really new. It's just kind of like, again, I'm not disappointed. I'm just saying like it is very hard for somebody to pull off a domain expansion. Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of Mahito's domain expansion. And I wanted to ask you guys, how did you guys feel by the end of the season about Mahito? Like, do you guys hate him? I feel like I hate him. Like, I truly am annoyed by him. I don't know why, but I just feel like I'm annoyed by him.
I think that's what he. I think you were supposed to end up being really annoyed by him. Like, he was like the one character that I think he's always done in the background because obviously he's like a key player. But I think he's always like on the back of someone, always kind of like making the situation worse by instigating. And then clearly, like where we left off talking about this season is just the fact that at this point, like freaking Jogo, like Mahito, like Hanami, like the Earth Curse and all this stuff, like all those guys are clearly trying to get Itadori, right? Like this is where we kind of like started picking up on the season, was the fact that everybody's trying to like chase Itadori and they all want to kill him. And I think with the Mahito one is like he has such a like very selfish reason where he just thinks that Itadori is his like main rival and he's meant to like fight him and meant to kill him. And I don't think it is true at all. Like I just think he just has like a hard on for freaking Itadori and he just wants to like kill him. But I think at the end of the day, like I think Mahito's nothing special other than he's really powerful. And his like fighting style is like super unorthodox. And I think that's what makes him fun, right? Because he's over here doing something so socially like fucked up where he's taking like the altered souls and he's basically like doing his transfiguration. And if you really think about it, he's probably doing the worst thing of any other character in the show because he's literally dispensing like souls left and right. Like, right, he has an arsenal of souls, and like especially I think you see that more, and this is where I really started like kind of hating him even more. And this season is when he's fighting Itadori, or I don't even know who he's fighting at this point, but I think it's Itadori or either the girl. Toto? But it's like no. Well, even with their other teammate. And he's like, transfiguring the two humans, and he turns one into like a sword right away. And I'm just like, dude, and his face is still there, and like, that should make you sick, and it should make you hate him. So, but I think that's what he remains to me. He just remains like an annoyance and hate. Like when he powered up to his like super crazy, like beefy, like armored dude, I liked it because he looked cool, and I was like, cool. And we're about to see some good fighting instead of him flipping and flapping around and just kind of being goofy. And I think I still hated him just as much.
Yeah, I do find it hard to believe that like he can't land a hit on Itadori or even Toto. I'm like, dude, your body just does so many things that this is like so unpredictable. Like, I don't know, man. It's just I feel like when you have a character that's like I can't let him touch me because he'll kill me just with his touch. It's like you really have to get creative. And they did get creative with Mahito, but then at some points it just became impossible that Mahito would struggle to touch him because, again, he can do so many things with his body.
No. Well, the thing was that he did touch Itadori.
No, I know. I wasn't talking about Itadori. I was talking more about like Toto, or even like I'm not saying like touch him to like, oh hey, once I touch you, like you're gone. I'm just saying like he couldn't even land like a blow, like any kind of blow on him because like he couldn't touch. Yeah, because Itadori is the thing. Like he can't really manipulate his soul because he's manipulating Kazuma's soul, and then at that point he gets in trouble. So he's not really able to do that.
And I think Mahito is like definitely supposed to be a character to make Itadori look even better because all their fights were really great. I mean, not the only fights, right? But I think from like the perspective of like watching like Itadori and like Choso fight, that's a very different fight than when you watch him fight Mahito. I think he struggled more with Mahito because Mahito's so quick and he's like we said, like moving around, he's transfiguring everything. Like the scene when they're still in the subway and he's like expanding that one altered soul, like where it's almost like crushing them.
Yeah.
And they're fighting against this little thing. Like, dude, those are like great. And so I think if anything, that's what Mahito does, is he just gives you more reasons to say, hey, Itadori is really good at fighting because dude can handle anything that this crazy ass dude is throwing at him. But yeah, I think it's definitely a very different like sense of like seriousness. Like when he's fighting Toto at the end and them, I'm just like, oh, like he's never gonna beat him. Like I don't care what he does. Like I know he's not gonna beat him because, like you said, if he can barely beat Itadori on his own, And the whole fact that he's
They're
like,
gonna
we're gonna
Naruto.
power up together, we're gonna do this, and this is gonna be our last like stand, and one of us is gonna like survive this. And I'm just like, dude, like you really think you're that special? Like,
I no. I really like that dialogue when he's like, "This is the last time me and you will curse each other, Itadori," and I'm like, "Oh hell yeah! Like this is gonna be like this is gonna be it." Like, which again, I'm glad that at the end of the season, like you probably are never gonna see Mahito, and as much as it's annoying as he was, the last thing I do want to say about him is, when he got that final transformation. I know we had already gotten a Gurren Lagann reference early on with Mekamaru, but his final transformation sort of reminded me of Gurren Lagann, the one black Gurren Lagann, with the tail.
Oh yeah.
Because of the tail, it just kind of reminded me. His tail was really cool, like just like it could kind of like hit you and like cut you off.
The
yeah.
Soul King's mech.
Yeah, it just kind of reminded me a little bit about that one.
Oh,
It's
hates
okay.
Gurren
I think
Lagann.
in One Piece. I'm sorry.
What? Right,
No.
it's the Soul King, right? Yeah, Soul King. The Soul King in Gurren Lagann. No.
I don't remember.
Rasengan or something.
I'll rewatch it at
yeah.
one point. But anyway, I was gonna say with Mahito, the big thing that kind of I got from him. I don't know if you guys are gonna agree with this. It
No.
kind of reminds me of the Joker in like the Batman universe because of just like how like narcissistic he is, how chaotic he is, and then just like how kind of like so self-absorbed, and all he wants to do is just hurt Itadori. Like that's his that's his like whole purpose of existing at this moment. Like when we're watching it is just to hurt him and to beat him. And then besides that, nothing else matters because Itadori was the first one to touch his soul. And then which is why he throws everything at him, and he's just so impossible to read because of how unpredictable he is and how chaotic he is.
It's funny that you put it with the put it in the way of saying touching his soul, because like how many times did Itadori did this, and they even pointed out Panda mentions this in the episode, like one episode later on, because like Itadori literally makes everyone think that they're like brothers. Well, as far as like Toto and then Chozo, but then like, if you think about it too, Mahito was pretty like he's pretty obsessed with Itadori because Itadori did touch his soul, so it is something about Itadori touching you in a way that you didn't think you needed it. But holy crap!
Dude,
then you become obsessed.
Yeah.
No, dude. Like I want to talk about so many things, but just sticking with Mahito for a little bit more. But I mean, were you a little bit disappointed? I was a little disappointed with. I said that I was gonna kind of hate on Itadori's classmates, but I was disappointed at the way Nobara died. His one classmate that Mahito was able to touch in the face.
Oh my god.
I was just like, dude, come on! Like you're chasing him.
Well, she ain't dead, but yeah.
But I'm like, she's chasing him. She's following him. She obviously doesn't know it's a secondary person. Oh, she kind of actually does know that it's potentially like a second, like not clone, but another part of Mahito. So like just the idea of how she got caught and she got touched. I'm like, come on, you know so much about Mahito at this point. You have so much intel that you should always be on your guard that this guy could just come out of nowhere, out of a corner and like touch you. So this idea that she just stood there like a dummy and then she was able to like let him touch like her face. I'm like, dude, I just really did not like that at all.
She got distracted by Itadori.
No, she got detected by the fact that she saw two Mahitos, and I'm like, oh, come on, like that shouldn't even matter. Like, what's like, I don't know,
and
man.
Itadori.
She was really disappointing overall this season. I just didn't even like that. Priorly, she couldn't defeat the guy with the miracles. I just didn't like that she couldn't defeat him.
And literally all she did, it was that one time where she hit Mahito, and then you saw him like his real body kind of react to it. That was the only significant thing. Outside of that, it was always like, hey, you should probably go stand outside because it's too dangerous for you. And I'm just like, yup.
No,
I mean,
awesome.
No. I know this is kind of like in the very beginning or where we left off, and the only reason why I want to bring this is because it was another one of like my favorite fights or favorite kind of parts of the season too, is when Toji comes back. Because this is part of this, right? That I remember it being one of the first episodes that we hadn't been watching religiously, and we were going to record on it, and then all of a sudden we're like, holy crap. Like we just knew it. Like this is the person that we, especially after seeing the hidden inventory, like the flashback episodes, holy crap. Like we were just in love with this man. And then here you go, like you have this fight where Itadori and freaking Megumi are like trying to stop the freaking dome, what is it called, the veil, and in the midst of all that, you see the freaking sorcerers who have the freaking seance, and oh my god, freaking Toji comes back, and he's just like his body is stronger than that one sorcerer's soul, and he just takes it over. And dude, I just did not expect that. And then even more, the fight with him and his son, like, oh, so good, so good.
Like, tell me what is your name?
Nah, the freaking ninja bunnies, man. Ninja bunnies.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that was truly awesome. And I am so surprised that like Toji at that moment decided to like kind of like take himself out of the equation by, you saw what he did. But I'm like, dude, Toji, like, why couldn't you have stuck around? Like,
Zenin?
I just felt like he could have stuck around a little bit longer because, dude, he did so much damage to Dagon. Like, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, okay, this man just destroyed this very powerful spirit on his own, like curse. So what would he have been capable of doing to Jogo? Like, if he had taken on Jogo, would he have been able to like beat Jogo's butt because he was just physically dude, it was just so crazy the way I saw him like handle Dagon on my second rewatch. I'm like, oh my god, like this guy's just, for having no ability whatsoever, like he's just making like a fool out of Dagon. Like he's making a fool out of
heavily packed, okay?
I don't know. It was just really amazing. I really found it more enjoyable this on my second rewatch than on my first rewatch. On my first rewatch, because I think that comes after the Choso fight. I kind of like found it a little bit like, this is kind of disappointing, but I really enjoyed it on my second watch.
Dude, and here's the thing that kind of got me too with Toji. So he's fighting Megumi, and then he realizes who Megumi is. And then he asks him what his name is, and then he tells him, and he's like, "Isn't that Zenin?" No, and then he does that. So Megumi doesn't know who he is. Old man Zenin knew who he was, but he's not around anymore. So no one else is around to be able to tell Megumi, by the way, the guy you were fighting, that was your dad. So Megumi still has no idea anything about his dad, and he never will, because he's re-dead again.
And I thought about this more the first time that I watched this. I was thinking who's ultimately going to tell him, because the only other person that ultimately will tell him or somehow will be Gojo. So maybe when Gojo gets freed and somehow
Gojo was fat.
Well, I know, but in a casual conversation that like, hey, by the way, I fought this random ass dude, like any clue who he is, like, you don't know, because like I don't know. I mean, Toji did kill everybody else that was involved in that, right? Like, so there's really
no one else.
Itadori saw him. No, Itadori didn't even see him.
No, they didn't even see him. No, they never encountered each other. But I remember like Gojo did try to.
Nanami didn't know who he was either.
But I'm saying like Gojo did try to tell Megumi once like who his father was, and Megumi's just like, I don't want to know. I don't really care. I don't want to know. But I don't know, man. I feel like you almost do have to go to your way to ask questions about like who was that guy, and maybe he'll get an answer. At the end of the day, like unless Toji's gonna come back for a third time, like I don't even know if that really matters at all. Okay. Can we talk about the MVP of the whole season?
Who, Chozo?
Yeah.
Well, that's not my favorite. That's not my favorite fights or interactions, but it's definitely one of the better ones. So, and I was going to bring him up. I'm like, I think it's about time to talk about Chozo, because he clearly multiple times in the season he's just freaking kicked ass, man. Like, that's someone that I didn't expect his powers to be like that freaking amazing. Just that whole idea of just kind of pressurizing blood to like a point where it just kind of shoots with so much force that it's like almost like a laser beam. Yeah, it's insane. But like, loved all his fights, man. You guys can talk about him. But I freaking loved him.
I mean, to me, I think he was like the MVP, because like his fights, man. Like, I mean, we kind of grew up watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and like I've seen blood bending, I've seen water bending, but the way he was able to manipulate his blood, like splatter on the wall and then pull it back, or
even Gen V.
I was, or even like Chainsaw Man, but it was just like I was really impressed by it, man. And then when he did fight Gato towards the end and he was helping out, I'm like, dude, this guy is so incredible. Why aren't people helping him out? They're all just sitting there watching like baboons, and by the time they do decide to help him, like it was kind of like a little bit too late. But I did see that a lot of love went towards Choso. So like every file that I go on Instagram and I look at that's like a Jujutsu Kaisen fan, they all have like the Choso like profile, or they're all referencing Choso, or he's a very popular cosplayer. I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of him.
Yeah, and that
Well,
makes sense. Yeah.
well, the big thing with him too is that he's like the reasons why he does everything are kind of like things that you can get behind because he does it for his family. He does it for family. So, like his brothers or whatever that Itadori killed, that it comes around to also make that Itadori is also his brother. It's a whole thing, but like, dude, that's the coolest bloodbending I've seen in any type of bloodbending type of anything.
Yeah,
So I feel
it's
like
very
that's how bloodbending should be.
that is how a bloodbending should be. Like it's very creative. Everything
Mm.
about like the little like I know there was like little blood clots like flying around or little balls of blood and like I don't know, it was just really cool, man. Like it was just like another character that I felt at any moment he could just strike you without you even realizing it. And I mean he beat up Itadori like fair and square. Like he beat him up fair and square, and I really liked that about like that fight. And it was a hell of a fight, like this whole bathroom scene. Like I haven't seen a bathroom scene fight that good since like Mission Impossible when Tom Cruise went against Henry Cavill. Or Henry Cavill
Oh
and Tom Cruise
yeah.
went against that one Asian guy, and like they both got their ass whooped.
Yeah, in the bathroom. No,
Yeah.
it's funny because this time when I was rewatching it too, I remembered the little droplets around him, and it just reminded me of the Six Paths. And it was just like so cool to see
So
that whole like
cool.
he's just kind of carrying them around, and when he needs them, he's like whoosh, throws them. But I don't know, yeah, like I think like Raul said too, is just like I think what he provided for the Itadori like story is kind of like why he was so significant outside of his like fighting skills. Again, someone else that now believes that Itadori is his brother.
Yeah.
Someone else that like basically Itadori won over. And I think at the end of the day, in a world where you have so many sorcerers and like
In the
we mentioned
world.
earlier, so many people like dying and kind of like people in and out and people who we think are dead right now and perhaps are still just like half alive somewhere else. Like I think Chozo did a very good job at just kind of like going from just one point of the season where he was only strung on getting Itadori to like ultimately helping him out a little bit, at least prolong the Ghetto doing a little, what he was going to do anyways. But I don't know. He gave us like some of the better scenes. I honestly, my favorite scenes whatsoever was with freaking when Sukuna finally came out. Like
Oh yeah.
those
Oh
were
my
my favorite scenes. Like
god.
him and freaking Jogo. That was my favorite like episode. Like not
Yeah.
necessarily favorite episode in content wise, but it's just that fight. And I think it's just because of the when you see like the impact of fire, and fire is so destructive and they're fighting with fire, and not even in the beginning, because I think Sukuna waits like almost the end of the fight to ultimately bring out his fire, and even freaking Jogo is like, wait, you can do fire, like you have fire abilities too. He's like, yeah. And then he does his like slingshot, like fire arrow and stuff
Arrow.
like that. And it's just, I don't know, it was just like at that point in the season, or just kind of just what we had talked about it the whole time, the level of animation during these fights were freaking incredible. And I think those were just some of the best ones that we had, were just from Sukuna when he fights Megumi's like freaking shadow thing. That was crazy too.
Yeah, I think with Jogo, it kind of makes me sad that Kusuma defeated him, just because he was the only one that was like legitimately trying to bring him out. Like he's the only one that's like, hey, if you come back, like this will be the age of sorcerers and everything will be back to how it used to be. I don't know if it's 1,000 years ago, but it was just like, dude, like he was doing nothing for Sukuna to have killed them off. Like I'm like, that's kind of crazy, man, because this guy was like an ally. So it's like, why would you destroy such a powerful ally? And it just tells you how like Sukuna is just like, I guess he's his own boss, and
Arrogant.
just nobody, arrogant. Nobody can really tell him what to do. I'm so excited for when he does come to be like fully. I don't know when he's gonna take fully over Itadori's body, but it's gonna happen.
Dude, Jogo gave Itadori 10 fingers.
10 of them.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
feeding
yeah.
him.
Itadori had, and the girls gave him like 1 finger or 2 or something.
One.
I don't know, but at this point, I think he has like 16 fingers altogether
Yeah, I mean, like what,
out
4
of the
more?
20. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're also kind of gonna reference the fight that's after that, which is when Megumi releases that, I don't even know what to call him. It's just that spirit curse. And then him and Kazuma like fight off, dude. And like, it's kind of crazy because I heard that fight wasn't even fully animated. Even though when you see it, it's like, what was not fully animated about this? Like, it
No,
just
no, I get it. Yeah,
yeah,
I
because people were
saw it.
saying like how the people that are working on this are just kind of like being like, they're being worked overtime. And they were saying like, yeah, when we released the episode, it wasn't even fully done. And I'm like, dude, me rewatching that, it's probably better off the fact that it wasn't fully done because it just looks amazing. Everything about it was just so freaking crazy. How one moment that guy is like so small, and the next thing he's like the size of a giant. It's just my brain can't even comprehend what's going on the screen when I'm watching that fight.
Well, it makes me think of like Godzilla and Power Rangers and everything else, right? Because you always have like these crazy fight scenes and crazy things, and the reason why it's important right now is because you think about like these megazords and these giant things fighting in these cities, but you never think about like all the buildings that are like being crushed and all the things that are being destroyed. In that fight, what's exactly that, and it actually showed you a lot of the times because like freaking with Sukuna's like ability to like slice and dice, he was legitimately like every building was just like into little bits and pieces, and I'm just like, holy crap. And there was even some scenes after they were kind of done fighting where you just literally saw like buildings like freaking cut in half, and then you still see like the lamps or like the lights still on in these apartments. And I'm just like, dude, like, did you even just think about like how many people possibly just died during this? Like, thousands of people during both of these fights. Well, yeah, both of these fights, they were pretty huge. Like anything with Sukuna was like, pretty big.
Well, there was a specific scene where there's people in a building, and then they just come in, and then next second they're like all sliced off, and it's like, oh, that was insane, man. I mean, his domain expansion, just the idea of him doing it without actually containing it, that was so crazy.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how you guys feel about the fact that the guy that's like always talking in like food, like, I mean, you saw what happened to him. I guess he got kind of caught in that.
Yeah, and then for that reason, Utah is now like, oh, I must kill Itadori. I mean, I get it; they were classmates, but like, he's coming like out of nowhere, and he just knows like very little information. He doesn't have a relationship with Itadori, and he's gonna go straight into like, I'm just gonna kill him. That's my job.
He just lost his arms, so it's not that terrible. I mean, I don't know if you can give him like robotic arms, but I mean, that's not too bad. The first time I saw it, I thought it was a lot worse because I think he was almost like blindfolded. So I don't know if he lost his eyesight as well, but this time they just made it a point in the English to be like he lost his arms.
Who did we truly lose? Nanami, right? Nanami truly is dead because he was like at the end, he was just like half a body. It was just his legs.
And then the Zenin sister, the one without cursed energy, we lost her.
For real though?
Maki.
Yeah.
But Maki's coming.
I don't know if that's one of those. Like, because I'm saying there's some that are like definitive.
She got burned to crisp though.
It's funny because we had this discussion like a week ago, Raul, and we gave you the spoilers, and you're still here fighting us about it.
I'm like, there's some deaths are definitive because you see, like, again, Nanami, you see him like only legs, right? Like, how do you come back from being nothing but legs?
Yeah, he exploded.
But I'm saying like, all you see is legs. So at that point, but like
Maki, she just got her face burned. Yeah,
Maki and Kugisaki too. Like, remember that one dude who came with Toto? He was like, "Hey, I maybe saved your friend. Don't count on it, but like maybe."
He has no balls, but
but she might process. She's going to be alive.
She's only technically dead, but she might not be permanently dead.
Even that old guy that's from the Sen clan, the way I saw his body, I'm like, he could still recuperate from that too. Like with a reverse.
That's the one that surprised me that he died because he's like.
Yeah.
He's legit. To find out he was almost as fast as Gojo was crazy. Like his abilities were very meta because clearly he was like, do you know how animation works? And I'm like, wait, animation? Like what? And he's like, yeah, and every like how many frames are in per second of the animation, and it's like, dude, what? This is so meta, also so cool because like you're clearly talking about like stopping the animation, like putting it on a slide, and then doing whatever you must with it. Like his abilities were insane. But just knowing who he is, knowing the significance that he had with like Megumi and all this stuff, like I never cared about him. I just thought it was cool that he was like,
I would put money that he's still alive too, man. Honestly, I would.
That's what I'm saying. Who did we truly lost? Like Nanami sucks that he's most likely gone because sadness. I don't know. After all that, I just don't even know.
I'm so surprised that you're willing to believe some of these people survive, especially because you're a big Naruto person, and anybody that you thought was dead in Naruto, they always like come back or realize that they're not really dead.
No,
not Jiraiya.
Not Jiraiya. I mean,
not Neji.
I mean, somebody
not Asuma.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're just making me sad. Stop. Just stop.
I wasn't expecting you to have so many examples.
Guy Sensei's legs.
I was talking more about Toby. Like Toby was the
Minato,
one. Toby was the one that I remember thinking like
Toby,
he's dead. Like there's
Obito.
no Obito.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way Obito's alive. A freaking rock fell on him.
That man became BFS with Naruto. It's all right. But I mean, so yeah, what else? What else was big? Like, what other parts that you like in this season?
Well,
Like
I mean,
the
we haven't
second
really
half.
talked about
Dude.
Gato's reveal neither.
I don't know.
I think what was happening is the brain finds people because even Gato at a certain point he's gonna age, he's gonna die whether he wants it or not. So he's gonna have to like eventually find another replacement. So I think that's the thing that's been happening with his brain. He finds the strongest sorcerer or somebody that benefits him. He takes over the body. People don't know that their body's been taken over, so then they think, oh my god, this guy all of a sudden became like the most evil person. So I think that's what's been happening. Like this guy's just been managing. This curse has been managing to survive from jumping to body, and then whoever body he possesses, they sort of take the rep of being like, oh, that person was truly evil. Even in reality, originally they probably weren't an evil person. They just got taken over by this brain. So I think that's my assumption of what happens with the brain. He just keeps jumping and jumping from the most powerful sorcerer at the time.
Well, clearly he's just here to do a lot of fuckery. So I don't know. I mean, I like that the plan is finally like coming to
because
it's finally coming to fruition. Yeah.
Because he even said he wasn't really thinking Geto's body was like his curse was like anything special, but because he first thought it was just like a way of him like collecting like small curses. But then once he really saw like like what makes it truly special, because with Mahito now he has like this really powerful curse. But even he was kind of like saying like, oh yeah, I didn't really think Gato's body was anything like cool. But then now I actually see the whole why his power is actually like truly special.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, again, I still just like now that at least you're seeing that his plan coming to fruition at the end. Now I'm kind of excited to see just what's all gonna go down. It's like the freaking like everything's starting to become everything's starting to black out like entirely. Like you have all these like new curses like run wild and stuff like that. I don't know, like I don't know what this brain's because like you knew what Geto's like plan was, but I still don't know what this like brain's overall like endpoint is. And that's another thing too.
Well, that's his thing. He's kind of like Orochimaru, where he's just trying to collect different jutsus. Like he's kind of collecting like sorcerer skills, and like he thought that his body wasn't enough to be able to like get all the cursed like skills and abilities that he wanted. So he figured out a way to just be a brain and take over other sorcerers' bodies. That way he can gather more power and skills.
Yeah.
And yes, and he's Itadori's dead. And Chosen's dead.
Yeah. Oh God, bro. No, yeah. I mean, with him, I just take the fact of what he said at the end of the episode, which was like, I could never accomplish what I really wanted with my own limitations, and then finally he was able to do it with Mahito's power. Which we find out that he was one of the people that put Fushiguro's sister in the hospital. So that's going to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, that part of the plan. That part of the plan, I'm really curious because like you had a whole thing about like kind of sleeping agents, sort of. That was pretty cool to find out because again, you see Megumin's like sister story come back, and I totally forgot about it again. I forgot that was the whole thing and how they ended up
the whole thing with the bridge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the whole thing with the bridge and stuff like that. And it's like, oh yeah, that whole thing was very significant the first season, and here you are again now realizing that it does play more into it. So yeah, I'm really curious to see kind of how that goes because again, I don't read the manga, so in general, I'm just excited to see what comes into fruition. And now that you're having these other sorcerers come back to Japan to be part of this whole like crazy, especially with Utah, because like you kind of know like a little bit of what's like even at the end when at the episode when they're like now Utah is like deemed the executioner of Itadori. That's exciting because now you have another person who's going to be after Itadori, and it's someone that thinks that they're right and they're good. So I like that idea of that dynamic of being like someone who thinks that they're a good guy and in the right who's going to be trying to kill Itadori, who also thinks he's a good guy and in the right. So I don't know. I think just the story is finally getting really, well, it's been good, but it's getting really, really, really like involved.
Yeah. I like the fact that it's like at this point everything's chaos. The bad guys kind of won, so it's just like hell yeah, like give me that chaos because that makes a more interesting
Gojo's
story.
gone. Yeah,
Gojo's still gone.
Oh, he's trapped. Yeah.
yeah,
Dude. And I think it's crazy the fact that they pretty much are gonna try to kill everyone that was at Shibuya, because the principal, Panda, Itadori, obviously, and then like everyone else that was there, they're just gonna try to kill them all.
You know, you reminded me. You know, when Gojo did his domain expansion for like 2 seconds, they talked about all the people that he put in that domain expansion and how like 3 months later they woke up and they were fine. And I'm like, how were they fine? Like, not only did they have to survive that whole domain expansion that Kusuma did, and then the fact that Geto released all these curses in that same spot. I'm like, how the hell did they even make it out of there? Like these subway people. I'm like, I feel like that's something that they have to go back and like retcon. Because I'm like, why would they even say that, knowing that more than likely everybody in Shibuya died at that point?
Well, maybe the curses didn't go after them because they were already unconscious.
Oh, maybe. But yeah, I was just kind of like, you're leading me to believe these people woke up 3 months later, but I'm also led to believe that everybody in Shibuya slowly started getting just destroyed by all these curses little by little, and then it just expanded. And it's kind of one of those things like how the government's just not reacting as fast as they should.
Yeah, no, yeah. That whole scene was like of them just talking about the expansion of the blackout and everything. It was frustrating because I'm like, damn, you guys suck at like responding to this.
Government, man.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's true. Like they probably would keep us in the dark just because of the chaos it could create. You know, so it just kind of sucks, man. Makes me want to start buying cans and whatever and start doing our
buying gold. But yeah, so. Did the ending confuse you guys a little bit? Because it confused me. I probably should have seen it dubbed. I feel like dubbed would have been a little bit more clear. And just because like I had to rewatch it a few times of like what was happening, because at first I didn't notice the spot getting bigger.
Yeah.
So then like after I rewatched it, I was like, oh, the spot's getting bigger, because like all the curses are being released and everywhere. Kind of thing, and then like I didn't even realize that they did like a little time skip, either. So that kind of threw me off a little bit the first time that I saw it.
I mean, you kind of go from Itadori and Geto and that one girl, about to fight, and then like it kind of just goes this other different way. But no, I mean, I think when you're done with the episode, you kind of realize what happened. Just the fact that the curses are taking over the area, and they're getting bigger, and I don't know, man. I think the next season is going to be like a Ghostbuster situation, like them just exterminating. I think they said, was it like 10 million curses got released? Was that the number, Ramon?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was just like crazy amount of curses.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, but a lot of people woke up their cursed energy that didn't have, like, that weren't sorcerers. That's kind of what Getz also did, that he like people that were susceptible to having cursed energy, like he kind of gave it to them.
Well, I mean, my whole thing for the next season is I'm a little disappointed that all the disaster level curses are gone, because honestly, they were made out to be like the most powerful thing anybody could have fought. So like now I'm like am I really gonna be like invested in any of the fights in the next season, knowing that what truly was the most powerful thing, the curses, like they're not even in play anymore? I don't know. Next season, what's it going to be? Jujutsu Sorcerer versus Jujutsu Sorcerer? Like, I don't know. I just feel like
I think it is going to be more of a civil war type of thing. Like, people who agree with Geto's like plan, and then people who are trying to stop it.
Mm-hmm. Well, because Toto's even part of it. Toto's one of the quote unquote bad guys now, if you think about it.
Because he's in Itadori's side?
Because he was there. Yeah, and there's no way Toto's going to not side with Itadori.
Yeah. I mean, you are going to have that. You probably are going to have the people that go with Itadori and not. And, before I forget, that part where Toto has that necklace,
Oh yeah.
And he was kissing it, and I'm like, man, what is it gonna be in that necklace? It's probably gonna be like some technique thing, or you're gonna find out
Dude, that
something
was
crazy.
hilarious.
That was pretty funny.
I
Yeah,
expected
I
the
thought it was
one
part of his
girl.
ability too.
Yeah,
I expected the one girl. I just didn't expect Itadori whatsoever.
Itadori.
Like,
Dude, I didn't expect either of them.
It's like if I carried a thing and it was just like, what's in there? Like, no, you can't know, and it falls out. It's just a picture of Ramon and you.
Not even your daughter.
Not even my daughter or wife. Oh my god.
We should do that.
No. But anything else that you guys want to talk about besides
Dude,
Jujutsu Kaisen or anything?
I would just say that this season broke
Was
my heart a
awesome.
lot. And I was dreading watching each episode. I was ready for everyone just to die. And like
Yeah.
I tried so hard like to just accept the fact that like anyone that I could possibly like, they're probably just gonna die. And then some
It
people
could have
die.
been worse, man. I honestly think from the good guys
I
side,
thought it was gonna be worse.
it wasn't that bad. I think the bad guys, because I'm telling you, all the curse level, disaster level curses, they're all gone. And I'm like, man, they were really the ones that like this was their plan, their idea. And at the end of the day, they're gone. And it was Gato, the only one that kind of like made it out. And I do want to say, if you ever go back to our episode where Mekamaru and Gato fought, and Mahito fought, I did say that Gato kind of made a comment saying like, "Ooh, no matter which way this battle goes, like I'm gonna come out on top." And it's because you could
Now
tell
you
at
know
that
why.
point. At this point, he was also kind of like he wanted to absorb Mahito, and I think that is what I said at that point. Like, oh, I'm like, I think he's also kind of looking to like an opportunity to absorb one of these curses.
and that was the cool thing too, the making him the Uzumaki and then being able to use that for like the crazy attacks and stuff. Like I don't know, that was unexpected that he was just gonna be like, oh well, at the end, bye bye Mahito, like you're just gonna get absorbed. But I mean, finally got to see him use like a really strong curse for like that ability, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So you know what? Geto is kind of like a Pokemon master collecting Pokemon, and all the curses are
Except for
his
he
Pokemon.
swallows them.
Yeah,
And
so
then
he has to weaken them so that he can throw a Pokeball at them.
Yep.
And then eat it.
And then eat it.
I was really disappointed how Mahito was begging for like his life. I'm like, dude, like, oh my god, like you're just not making me like I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that character because at this point, like, I just don't have any respect
He's
for
Joker. I tell you, he's
I
the
mean,
Joker.
he does definitely play like the Jokers. So,
But even the Joker's kind of the guy that likes to get hit, and like he would be the opposite. He'd be like, yeah,
He's
like,
a
finish me
masochist.
off.
He's total
Finish me off.
masochist. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I truly do think by the time it's all done, it's going to be probably the greatest anime at this time. Like, at this time, like, maybe in a few years, somebody else will come back. Even Attack, as much as I love Attack on Titan, I just feel like Jujutsu Kaisen's doing the animation differently, the battles differently. Attack on Titan just had a lot of really cool twists. So it's still going to be
My
like one of my
Hero's
favorites.
coming back.
My Hero's going to be coming
We'll
back.
see.
So yeah, Ramon, you got to get on that season 2.
I know. It's about that time. Now that I'm done with freaking Brotherhood with Full Metal Alchemist.
Are you done with
finished
Full Metal?
Yeah, I'm done with it, yeah.
Okay, so there you go. In a month or 2 months from now, we'll do the Full Metal Alchemist episode. So that's one
So I
that
can rewatch it again.
No, I mean, me and Raul have to like probably finish it off, but
No, it took me a couple months
This is
because I was
like
just so lazy about it. And now I can rewatch it in like 2 days. So it's
but
how
did you like it
works.
overall?
Yeah, of course I liked it. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
great anime. I mean, yeah, it's totally different. Like things that are coming out now, like Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff like that. Like obviously completely different animation to the point where like it's not as impressive if you're thinking about it that way. But story wise, is great. Like the whole plot, like the whole. Obviously, anytime that you deal with like the human vices, like the 7 deadly, like 7 sins and all that stuff, like anything that has to do with religion, anything that's kind of like tied into like humanity is always so good. But no, I mean, I love some of the characters, like some of the twists in it were like really great. So hell yeah, like no, it was good, definitely.
Awesome, man. I can't
It's a lot of people's favorite anime on the planet.
Yeah,
I mean, I have
whole
a
It's a lot of people's number one anime.
I mean, I have a Full Metal Alchemist tattoo because back in the day, and not Brotherhood, but the original one really left an impact on me. And I kind of mentioned you guys how the first one's a lot different from Brotherhood.
yeah.
But I have a lot of love for the original because it was just awesome.
I like it.
Nice.
I mean, I'm done with watching Hunter x Hunter, and right now I am watching One Piece. Because like I eventually did catch up to all the sub episodes roles, so eventually they were subtitled, and I just didn't want to read, especially One Piece, because a lot of the times nothing exciting is happening. So now it's like I'm watching it again, some of the dub episodes, but I think I'm gonna pick up my Brotherhood rewatch for a month, so we could talk about that maybe in like the next 2
Yeah.
months. Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm down.
Yeah,
All right then.
yeah. I'm still watching Naruto with my son, and we the White Setsu just showed up with the 5 Kage Summit, so we're about to start the Great Ninja War #4.
Man, that's another one we need to talk about. We need to focus on very specific, like we're only gonna talk about the bad guys or talk about this only, because there's so much to Naruto that we could always talk about that.